Mauna Kea is Hawaii's massive dormant volcano, the highest point and most sacred site in the islands. It was there, back in 1834, that a famous Scottish botanist, an escaped convict from Botany Bay, and an irritable feral bull all came together one morning. Only one made it out alive, and what actually happened is a mystery that has lingered for almost 200 years.
We're in the town of Waimea, and we're about to take off on a 40-mile-long four-wheel drive road, following the route basically that David Douglas followed in 1834 to get to the place where he died. The simple journey to get to Kauluakauka feels like a voyage back in time.
In the early 1800s, David Douglas was famous. He traveled all over the world collecting and identifying plants. The Douglas fir tree, that's him. The man was a legend. In 1834, Douglas found himself in Hawaii and was hiking around the Big Island with his dog Billy while he waited for a ship to take him back home. One morning, Douglas stopped at the home of a man named Ned Gurney.
We're standing at the upper edge of a koa ohia forest. These are beautiful koa trees, and you can just sort of picture David Douglas walking through this area. We're very close to the location where Ned Gurney lived.
Now, Gurney had been arrested in London when he was a teenager for petty theft, and for that, they sent him to the penal colony at Botany Bay, Australia. Eventually, Gurney escaped and made his way to Hawaii, where he began hunting wild cattle and selling their hides to the island monarchy. We don't know why Douglas stopped at that house that morning or what happened there. He might have been just saying hello or asking for directions or eating breakfast, but as he left, Gurney gave him a warning. He had a couple of cattle pit traps up the path, and he told the botanist to be careful.
A few hours after David Douglas had left Ned Gurney's house, two native Hawaiian men came running back to Ned Gurney's to inform Ned Gurney that David Douglas was dead in the bottom of one of these pits with a wild bull trampling on his body.
Gurney sent the body, plus Billy the Terrier, to missionaries in the town of Hilo. There were several conflicting accounts of the injuries, and then the rumors began. Had Gurney murdered Douglas and thrown him into the pit to cover up the crime?
Kauluakauka, in memory of Dr. David Douglas, killed near this spot in a wild bullock pit, July 12, 1834 AD. This tablet erected in 1934 by the Hilo Burns Club. The monument is sitting in the Hilo Forest Preserve, and if you read the monument, it actually says on a spot near here is where David Douglas died. This is not the actual spot of the pit. In the early 1900s, spotting the pit was no longer possible, according to some of the early foresters who were up here. Surrounding the monument are also some Douglas fir trees. Over 200 were planted in 1934, and some of them are still standing as majestic monuments to David Douglas right behind the obelisk.
Missionary doctors studied Douglas's injuries, and they all agreed that it really looked like he had been mauled by a bull. But the cloud of suspicion hung over Gurney for the rest of his life. Supposedly, he was still raving about his innocence on his deathbed. Historians still differ on if Gurney committed the murder, but some think it might be more like classism, an ex-con blamed without hard evidence for the death of a prominent man who was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Ned Gurney was the suspect because he was a Botany Bay convict. But if you actually understand that he was just a 17-year-old kid who had been arrested for stealing a few shillings worth of lead sheeting off of a house in London, he doesn't quite appear to be this bloodthirsty guy that some people portrayed him as because he had spent some time in Botany Bay.
If you decide to venture out to the Doctor's Pit, which we highly recommend, know that it's a full-day trip to get out there and back. Be sure to stop in to the Division of Forestry and Wildlife offices in Hilo or Waimea to learn the conditions beforehand. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and let us know in the comments where we should explore next.